Hello, good morning and welcome to The United Stand. This is your Manchester United Transfer News Daily, where we talk about all the latest Manchester United transfer news and give it that real fan opinion. And we've got some really exciting players to talk about below that I want to get into, but I'm going to start off with Gareth Bale. I really don't want to. I'd wish we could bail out of this deal, actually, but But realistically, we do need to talk about Gareth Bale because there's been a further development yesterday. After Real Madrid's last game of the season, you've got Zidane being asked about why he didn't consider bringing Gareth Bale on, and he said, if I had 4 substitutes, he can only have 3. Even if I'd had 4, I wouldn't have brought him on. There are players that I've used in recent weeks that deserve the game time. It's abundantly clear that Gareth Bale will be leaving Real Madrid. There is no relationship with Zinedine Zidane. And this is really interesting because I've said many a time that Gareth Bale is effectively the Welsh Alexis Sanchez, and in many ways he is, because Real Madrid have this same problem. They've got a player that's got 3 years left on his contract, that's on massive wages, that's one of their star names. I mean, star names doesn't mean they're playing well on the pitch, as we've seen with Sanchez, and Real Madrid need to remove him from the team. Now, could you ever imagine Ole Gunnar Solskjaer coming out and saying after a game where Alexis Sanchez was on the bench, it doesn't matter how many substitutes I've got, he wouldn't have come on the pitch because other players deserve it over him? We wouldn't do it because we're trying to retain a value in Alexis Sanchez. But Real Madrid, certainly Zinedine Zidane, doesn't really care. He's made the world know that Gareth Bale is not part of his plans. He's made the world know that Gareth Bale basically has been a flop for Real Madrid in the last couple of years. And he's making the world know that he doesn't want him here next year, which depreciates the value of Gareth Bale. Now, how that Real Madrid deal with this, maybe they will look at what Manchester United are looking at with Sanchez and loan him out. But my fear with Bale is that Look, we don't know Ed Woodward. We don't know the board of Manchester United, but they do seem to get drawn in by these big. Oh, we love a big signing. We can do things other people don't do. Exactly, we can do things like sign Gareth Bale when no one would go near him. No one would go near him. And also, as I said yesterday, I think we're one of the clubs that can actually afford Gareth Bale. I don't think many people can. I wish somebody would. I really think he's a bad signing for United, but let's wait and see what happens with that one. Moving it into more positive areas. Thomas Partey is a player that has been mentioned quite a lot. There is meant to be, let me get this right, because there's a little bit of mixture here that I need to discuss. Pepe, Bruno Fernandes. Yes, okay. So I'll get it out. That's what she said. Thomas Partey, Arsenal apparently interested in him. Inter Milan interested in him. £45 million release clause, just under that, £43 million. 25, 26 this year. Can play midfield, can play a number of positions. He is that energetic midfielder that we were talking about yesterday with regards to Ndidi. Thomas Partey, very, very experienced Atletico Madrid player, meant to be looking to move on, even though his contract's quite long. He apparently has this release clause. Now, I think this is where it starts and ends for me. This release clause is contradictory. A year ago, they were talking about it being a £45 million release clause, but then the same outlet, I think it was AS, was saying that there isn't one. So I don't know whether there is or there isn't. But if there is, and he's fancying a move from Atletico Madrid, because Atletico Madrid are losing a few players this year. Godin's obviously going, Griezmann's going, and amongst others. So it's interesting that maybe there will be an exodus from Atletico Madrid, and Thomas Partey may be one of those players. Now, if Arsenal are in for him, and this is a concern, isn't it? Because Arsenal getting a player of that quality when they potentially have Champions League football to offer that we can't is a concern. Inter Milan, are they really a rival for Manchester United? But of course, Manchester United have got to be in for Thomas Partey for us to be in the race. And I think he's exactly what we should be looking at. I think Thomas Partey does fall into that area that Ndidi does, or a Verratti would, or someone like that, someone of real star quality. And I think he could play that sort of centre defensive midfield stroke box-to-box position very, very, very comfortably. And he's exactly the sort of player I want. I said this before. Look, whatever McTominay's going to be, let's see. Whatever Pereira's going to be, let's see. Whatever Fred's going to be, let's see. Matic, I think, whatever he's going to be, he's not going to be doing it for long, is he? He's into his 30s. But we do lack a real aggressive, tenacious, fast, quality midfielder, and I think that Thomas Partey can certainly fit that bill. So I hope that release clause is true, and I hope that Manchester United are actually in for him. With regards to another player that I know a lot of you like, Nicolas Pepe of Lille, very encouraging news there. Last week we were talking Manchester United would link to him. I didn't really like the source. I think it was the Daily Mirror. I wasn't 100% sure about whether United are in for him based on that. But what we can give you as factual is that the Lille manager has said yesterday that Nicolas Pepe will leave Lille. So that is a very, very big step forward in relation to his availability. But yet again, with Thomas Partey as well, it depends whether Manchester United are actually in for this player. We will be linked to a lot of players this summer. It's who we're in for. But Nicholas, a manager's come out and said that Pepe will leave Lille, so he is going to be available. Now, whether that means he'll go to PSG, whether it means he comes to Arsenal, whether it means he goes to Liverpool or somewhere else, or maybe Manchester United, I don't know. But he is a very, very good option. He plays off the right wing, and he has got a very good record. 23, he'll be 24 very soon, so a good level of experience, but ready to take that next step. I think not every signing we make, when you talk about being hungry, next step, talent, they don't have to be 18, 19, 21, 22. They can be 23, 24. It's about having the talent and wanting to display that talent a bigger step forward, which Manchester United would be. So I'd be interested in him. £60 million is probably going to do it. They're quoting 70, but I think £60 million would probably do it for a club like Lille. And we might be able to price ourselves quite cleverly with that, because I think that if Arsenal were in for him, I don't know whether Arsenal would want to go up to £60 million. And we desperately need a right winger. I mean, I've put Jadon Sancho there on the right-hand side. Jadon Sancho, 19 years of age, I think would be a fantastic signing for Manchester United. He'd be a £100 million signing, and I think at times maybe Manchester United were looking at that, and maybe Jadon Sancho himself was looking at that. But the issue with Sancho is, quite frankly, that we don't have Champions League football, and I think that he is settled in Dortmund. And he actually said at the weekend that next season he's looking to win the Bundesliga with Dortmund. I can tell you now, you won't do it, mate. I think you should have managed it this year, and you still, Bayern Munich still got over the line. So nothing's going to stop Bayern, I'm afraid. This was your chance, but I do think he will be staying there. And it's interesting about Bayern as well, because there was always this feeling that Nicolas Pepe would go to Bayern Munich, but they're now in for Leroy Sané, amongst others, and I think they more or less said that they're not in for Pepe. But look, we don't know what Manchester United are going to do. I think we all wish that we did, and I think that what you do need to bear in mind with Manchester United at the moment is look at when teams are ending their season. It's all I don't actually know what the benefit of our transfer window opening in mid-May, and closing 2 or 3 weeks before everybody else's is. It was something that Arsene Wenger sort of brought in and got ratified just before he retired, where he wanted the transfer window to close before the first Premier League game season, because he didn't like the fact that the season had started and you could lose players or you could buy players. For me, whoever voted for it is a clown. I think it's massively hindered and shortened the Premier League transfer window. And I say that because if you think about this, our transfer window has been open for 4 days, but by the time most European clubs have played their last game, it will have been open for 2 weeks. Like, there's a Portuguese Cup final next weekend, Serie A fixtures next weekend. Their season doesn't really finish till the end of May, so it's all right opening up the transfer window in England in the middle of May, but you can't really buy anybody until at least the first week of June, and then you've wasted 3 weeks of it anyway, and then you close your window early when everyone else's is still open for 3 weeks. I think it's problematic, and I think that's the issue with United. Unless you're moving for a player that's in England, and even then, how often does that happen with United? I just don't think it helps us at all. But I hope that what's happening with United is, I do think that hopefully we have got some deals in place, and we're just waiting for those particular league seasons to end. Like Portugal, maybe Bruno Fernandes, we're waiting for the end of May for that season to end. Italy, Koulibaly, maybe we're waiting for that to end as well. And the same with France, with Pepe and people like that. We'll have to wait and see. But I do think that that's why we've got to be very careful about getting frustrated just yet. For me, I think frustration will ebb and flow through this transfer window. I think if we get to the middle of June and we've signed nobody, I think I'll be very surprised for one, but I do think people will start to get frustrated then. But we've got to be patient. We've got to wait till like August the 8th when it closes, and then you take account of what the situation is with United. But we've got money to spend, and it's how we spend it and who we're going to spend it on. The targets are there. That's coming out from the club, that's coming from Ollie. Let's see who those targets are going to be. As I said, I think, I will say it again, I'd be very surprised if we don't sign Daniel James very, very soon. It looks inevitable to me, but and that deal could be done this week, and it would be nice just to get an early deal done so that we can say we've done an early deal, because we know we've got to do more business than anyone else. I was at the charity game yesterday at Leicester City's ground, and desperately searching for Tielemans and Didi, couldn't find them. But I was talking to like some of the Arsenal lads and saying, look, and Chelsea, and they're saying, well, we've got a transfer ban at the moment. they've got a transfer ban at the moment, Chelsea. Arsenal, we don't expect to have that much money to spend, maybe 50 million max, who knows. So, yeah, Liverpool will spend, City will spend, Spurs will spend, but Chelsea and Arsenal are pretty much not going to be much of a competition for us, and Spurs won't be much of a competition. Spurs won't have 250 million to spend, so massive summer for Manchester United. It's going to be very interesting to see how we approach it and who we bring in. But two of those players below, Partey and Pepe, I'd be over the moon with those. I think that would solve a big midfield issue, and I think it would solve a big right wing issue as well. But going back to what I said at the start, I do think that Gareth Bale is somebody that concerns me quite a lot. That deal does. It's just got Ed Woodward written all over it, and I know that's very presumptuous to say it, but I just think United will fall in love with the idea of bringing Gareth Bale back to the Premier League and not actually look at what he's been doing for the last couple of years and his age and his injury record and what he'll be doing in 2 years' time. It doesn't suit us. His last 2 years haven't been that good. His injury record isn't that good, and in 2 years' time he'll probably be finished. How does that help Manchester United? On top of that, it'll be ridiculously expensive. Is he hungry? You know, when he went from Spurs to Real Madrid, he was hungry to prove himself. What's he hungry to prove himself? Being, you know, the cast off at Real Madrid, coming back to the Premier League to a team that's, you know, on its uppers in the Amadale Cup. I don't see the Bale deal being any good for us, but I do see us doing it. Get your comments in below. How do you feel about Gareth Bale? I mean, what I would say is if we sign him, I'll back him and really hope it, but I just don't see how it helps United. What about Thomas Partey, Nicolas Pepe? Get your comments in below. Make sure you smash a like on the video, and I'll speak to you all later. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe.